Dr. Jiho Park bent down to check his scanner again. The cold wind of Kepler 442 bits bit through his thermal suit. This was his third month on the frozen planet, and he still wasn't used to the biting cold. Temperature dropping again, he muttered to himself. The small research outpost where he worked as a medical officer was 2 kilometers away. He needed to finish his survey quickly. Jiho moved his scanner across the strange building. The aliens who built it had left long ago. No one knew who they were or why they left. The structure stood tall with smooth walls that looked like blue metal. It had strange markings that no one could read. His scanner beeped suddenly. Jiho stopped. He tapped the screen, thinking it was broken. The reading made no sense. It showed life signs, but they were strange. Not fully alive, not fully dead. "That's impossible," he said. "Nothing could live in this cold." But the scanner kept beeping. The life signs were coming from under the ice, near the base of the alien building. Jiho should call it in. The rules were clear. Unknown biological material must be reported and locked away until experts could look at it. Jiho looked at his communicator. Then he looked at the scanner again. His medical training made the choice for him. If something was alive down there, it might need help. He took out his ice drill and started working. The ice cracked and split. After 20 minutes of hard work, he saw something shine beneath. It wasn't ice. It was some kind of clear container. And inside, "Stars above," Jiho whispered. Inside the container was a small animal that looked like a wolf pup. But it wasn't like any wolf from Earth. Its fur shimmered with blue light. It had 6 legs instead of 4, and when Jiho cleared more ice, he saw that it had 6 eyes. 2 large ones closed in sleep, and 4 smaller ones around its muzzle. Jiho kept digging. There were more containers, 7 in all, each holding a small wolf-like creature. They were all in some kind of frozen sleep, not moving but still alive according to his scanner. The containers were made of a crystal-like material. Small lights on their sides blinked slowly, getting dimmer as Jiho watched. "They're failing," he realized. Whatever kept these creatures in this state was running out of power. Jiho knew he should call Commander Do-yeon right away, but he also knew what would happen. The creatures would be taken away for study. They might die before anyone decided to help them. He made his choice. Carefully, he lifted the first container. It was surprisingly light. He packed all 7 into his sample case, making sure they were secure. "Don't worry," he told the sleeping creatures, even though they couldn't hear him. "I'm a doctor. I'll help you." The wind picked up as Jiho started back to the outpost. He knew he was breaking the rules. He knew he might get in serious trouble. But looking at the small creatures in their failing containers, he couldn't leave them to die alone in the ice. As he walked, he didn't notice the faint blue glow that started to pulse from the smallest container. He didn't feel the gentle touch against his mind. Curious, afraid, but also hopeful. What Jiho Park didn't know was that his simple act of kindness had just changed the course of human history. These weren't just animals, and they weren't just lost. They were hidden. They were the last of their kind. And something was still hunting them. Jiho's heart beat fast as he entered the research outpost. He tried to look normal, but the weight of the sample case felt heavy in his hands, not from its actual weight, but from what it meant. He had broken the rules. The main door slid open. Inside, the warm air hit his cold face. He quickly moved toward the medical lab, hoping no one would stop him. "Dr. Park," a stern voice called from behind. Jiho froze. He turned slowly to see Commander Do-yeon walking toward him. The commander was a tall man with a serious face and eyes that missed nothing. "Sir," Jiho said, trying to sound calm. "You're back early," Do-yeon said. His eyes moved to the sample case. "Find something interesting?" Jiho knew he couldn't lie. "Yes, sir. Something very interesting." 10 minutes later, Jiho stood in the main lab. The 7 containers were laid out on the table. Commander Do-yeon looked at them with narrow eyes. Next to him, Dr. Hae-Eun Lee, the team's xenobiologist, examined one of the containers closely. "You should have called this in right away," Do-hyun said. "The Galactic Treaty is clear about alien biology. We don't touch it until it's been studied from a distance." "They were dying," Ji-ho said. "The power in the containers is failing." "He's right," Hae-Eun said, looking up from her scanner. Her dark eyes were wide with excitement. These containers weren't meant to last forever. They're temporary. She pointed to the small lights on the side of each container. "These are power cells. They're almost dead." "What does that mean?" Do-hyun asked. "It means they weren't abandoned," Hae-Eun explained. She ran her finger along the strange markings on one container. "They were hidden. Someone put them here to keep them safe, but they expected to come back before the power ran out. And now they're dying," Ji-ho added. Do-hyun crossed his arms. "I need to call Central Command. They'll send a team." "That will take days," Ji-ho said. "Look," he pointed to the smallest container. The little wolf-like creature inside had started to twitch slightly. Its fur was losing its blue glow. "They don't have days." Hae-Eun nodded. "If we don't act soon, they'll die." Do-hyun paced around the table. "What do you want to do, Doctor?" "I want to save them," Ji-ho said simply. "As a doctor, I can't watch them die if I can help." "We don't even know what they are," Do-hyun argued. "They could be dangerous." "They're babies," Hae-Eun said softly, looking at the small bodies curled up in the containers. "Look at their size, their development. They're infants of their species." The room fell silent. Ji-ho watched as Do-hyun struggled with his decision. Rules were rules, but they were all human first. And humans didn't let babies die, even alien ones. "You have 48 hours, Do-hyun finally said. "Try to save them. After that, no matter what happens, I'm calling Central Command." Relief flooded through Ji-ho. "Thank you, sir." "Don't thank me yet," Do-hyun warned. "If anything goes wrong, it's on your head." He walked to the door, then turned back. "And Park. No one else knows about this. Let's keep it that way for now." After he left, Hae-Eun turned to Ji-ho with a smile. "Well, let's get to work. How do we wake up 7 alien wolf babies?" Ji-ho looked at the containers, at the fading lights, at the small lives depending on him. "Very carefully," he answered. What they didn't see was the small blue spark that jumped from the smallest container to Ji-ho's hand when he touched it. A connection had formed. And thousands of light years away, something ancient and terrible turned its attention toward the small human outpost on Kepler 442 bits. The lab was quiet except for the soft beep of machines. Ji-ho rubbed his tired eyes. He had been working for 10 hours straight with Hae-Eun. The time to save the alien pups was running out. "Their body temperature needs to rise very slowly," Hae-Eun said. She typed commands into her computer. "Too fast, and they could die from shock." Ji-ho nodded. They had studied the containers and figured out how they worked. The aliens had used a mix of technology and biology to keep the pups in deep sleep. Now they had to reverse it carefully. "The first one is ready," Ji-ho said. The largest container's lights had turned from blue to green. This meant the pup inside was ready to wake up. Hae-Eun pressed a button. The clear top of the container slid open with a soft hiss. Cold mist rose into the air. Inside, the wolf-like pup lay still. Its blue fur looked dull. "Is it alive?" Hae-Eun whispered. Ji-ho placed a small medical scanner over the pup. Heart rate rising. Brain activity increasing. He prepared a small needle with nutrients they had made based on the pup's blood samples. "Now we wait." 1 minute passed, then 2. Then the pup's chest moved as it took a breath. Its 6 legs twitched, and then, slowly, its eyes began to open. First, the 2 large main eyes opened. They were deep purple with no pupils. Then the 4 smaller eyes around its muzzle blinked open. They were bright blue. The pup looked at Ji-ho and Hae-Eun. It did not seem afraid. It made a strange sound, like a musical note rather than an animal cry. The sound seemed to vibrate not in their ears, but in their minds. "Did you feel that?" Heian asked with wide eyes. "Telepathic," Jiho said in wonder. "It's trying to speak to us with its mind." The pup slowly stood on its 6 legs. It was about the size of a small dog. Its blue fur began to glow softly again. It looked around the lab with clear intelligence in its eyes. Encouraged by this success, Jiho and Heian worked through the night. One by one, they woke the other pups. Each one made the same musical sound when it first saw them. Each one seemed calm, as if it understood what was happening. The 6th pup woke easily, but the 7th one, the smallest, gave them trouble. Its vital signs were weak. Its container had been the most damaged. "This one is dying," Jiho said. The tiny pup's fur was barely glowing. Its breathing was shallow. "What can we do?" Heian asked. Jiho thought quickly. "Its blood cells can't carry enough oxygen. It needs a blood substitute." He looked at his medical supplies. Nothing would work. Then he had an idea. "My blood might work as a base," he said, rolling up his sleeve, "if I mix it with the right nutrients." "That's crazy," Heian said. "Human blood for an alien." "We're out of options," Joe replied. He drew a sample of his own blood and began to work. Hours later, Jiho injected the smallest pup with his special mixture. Its breathing was almost gone. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the pup took a deep breath. Its fur began to glow, not blue like the others, but with a slight purple tint. Its 6 eyes opened all at once. It looked directly at Jiho. And this time, the telepathic connection was so strong that Jiho heard a clear thought in his mind. "Thank you." The other pups gathered around the smallest one. They made their musical sounds together, creating a beautiful harmony that filled Jiho and Heian's minds with a feeling of gratitude. "What do we call them?" Heian asked softly. Jiho looked at the 7 pups, now all awake and alive. The smallest one hadn't taken its eyes off him. "I don't know," he said, "but I think they're going to tell us soon." A week passed since the pups woke up. Jiho spent every moment he could with them. The small medical lab had become their home. They slept in soft beds that Heian made from spare blankets. The pups learned fast. Too fast for normal animals. They watched everything with their 6 eyes, missing nothing. They figured out how to open the lab door on the 2nd day. They learned to use the food dispensers by the 3rd. "They're smart," Heian said. "Smarter than any Earth animal." Jiho nodded. "I think they understand what we say." The smallest pup, the one with the purple-blue fur, stayed close to Jiho all the time. It followed him everywhere, even sleeping near his bed at night. Jiho named it Nebi, which meant butterfly in his language. Commander Dohyun came to the lab often to check on them. He still looked worried, but Jiho could see he was starting to care about the pups too. "Have you learned anything about them?" Dohyun asked. "A little," Jiho said. "They keep sending me mental pictures. I think they're trying to tell me their story." The telepathic bond grew stronger each day, especially with Nabi. When Jiho was near the pups, he would see flashes of images in his mind. Blue forests under 3 moons, tall cities built into mountainsides, strange creatures that looked like the adult version of the pups, with glowing fur and wise eyes. One night, as Jiho sat with the pups, Nabi placed its front paws on his knee. The mental image that came to Jiho's mind was so clear it made him gasp. He saw a beautiful world burning. Huge black ships in the sky, tall insect-like creatures with many arms capturing adult versions of the pups, cutting them open, taking something from their bodies. "What are they showing you?" Heian asked, seeing his face go pale. "Their world was attacked," Jiho said quietly. "Their people were hunted. These 7 were hidden to save them." Security Officer Mincio had just entered the lab. He was a quiet man who rarely smiled, but he had started bringing treats for the pups. "They trust you," Mincio said with surprise as all 7 pups played around Jiho. They follow you like you're their leader. They imprinted on him, Heian explained, like baby birds with their mother. I'm their pack leader now, Jiho said, feeling the weight of that responsibility. That night, Jiho had a dream. Or maybe it wasn't a dream. He saw a clear image of a star map. At the center was a bright red star. Around it, a fleet of black ships was gathering. He woke with a start. Nabi sat at the foot of his bed, all 6 eyes glowing in the dark. They're coming, aren't they? Jiho asked. The pup made the musical sound that Jiho now recognized as a yes. The next morning, Jiho called a meeting with Dohyun, Heian, and Minseo. The pups are called Lumare, Jiho told them. They're an ancient race with strong mental powers. Their fur produces special chemicals that another race wants. These chemicals can extend life. What race? Dohyun asked. The Krivith, Jiho said, using the name he had seen in his dream. They hunt the Lumare to near extinction. They use them like medicine. That's horrible, Heian said. These 7 pups are the last of their royal family, Jiho continued. Their caretakers hid them here, planning to return when it was safe. But they never came back. How do you know all this? Minseo asked. Nabi showed me, Jiho said. He looked at the smallest pup, who was watching him with intelligent eyes. And there's something else. The Kriveth are coming here. They're still looking for any Lumare that escaped. And somehow, they know the pups are here. The room fell silent. Then Dohyun's communicator beeped. His face turned serious as he read the message. An unknown ship just entered our system, he said. They're asking to inspect our outpost. The meeting room was tense. Commander Dohyun stood at the head of the table, his face grim. On the large screen behind him was an image of a black ship. It looked like a giant insect with sharp points sticking out from all sides. The Kriveth ship will dock in 6 hours, Dohyun said. They claim they are looking for stolen property. The pups, Jiho said. They mean the pups. Aeon looked worried. What do they want with them? Jiho closed his eyes. The images Nabi had shared flashed in his mind. The Lumare have special chemicals in their fur and brains. The Kriveth use these to make medicine that helps them live longer. And they call that stolen property. Minseo asked, his hand moving to the weapon at his side. To them, the Lumare are not people, Jiho explained. They see them as animals, resources to use. Dohyun paced the room. We have a problem. If we refuse to let them search, it could cause trouble between humans and the Kriveth. We are still new to space. We can't afford enemies. We can't just give them the pups, Heian said. That would be wrong. Jiho felt a gentle touch on his leg. Nabi had entered the room. The small pup looked up at him with all 6 eyes. Behind Nabi, the other 6 pups waited at the door. They know what's happening, Jiho said. They can feel the Kriveth getting closer. Nabi sent an image to Jiho's mind. It showed the Lumare pups hiding in a small hot space with pipes and machines. The thermal regulation system, Jiho said, understanding. The heat and energy there would mask their life signs. Minseo nodded. It might work. The system runs through the whole base. There are access panels in every section. We need to move them now, Jiho said, before the Kriveth get any closer. They worked quickly. Minseo found the access panel in the medical lab and opened it. Inside was a narrow tunnel filled with pipes that carried heated air through the outpost. It will be hot in there, Jiho told the pups. But you'll be safe. The pups seemed to understand. One by one, they jumped into the tunnel. The 6 larger ones went first, disappearing into the shadows. Nabi hesitated. It looked up at Jiho and sent him a feeling of worry. I'll be fine, Jiho said, kneeling down. I'll make sure they leave without finding you. Nabi made a soft musical sound. Then it jumped into the tunnel. Minseo closed the panel. Now we wait, Dohyun said. 5 hours later, The Kriveth ship docked. Jiho stood with Do-yun and Minseo at the main airlock. His heart beat fast, but he kept his face calm. The airlock door slid open. Jiho tried not to gasp. The Kriveth were tall, almost 3 meters. They had hard black shells like insects. 4 arms hung from their torso. Their heads had no eyes that Jiho could see, just long feelers that moved constantly. The leader stepped forward. "I am Commander Vrex of the Kriveth Dominion." Its voice was like metal grinding on metal. "We have information that Lumere specimens are present on this outpost." "Lumere?" Do-yun asked, pretending not to know. "What are those?" "Valuable biological resources," Vrex said. "They were stolen from us. Our sensors detected their energy signature in this system." "We have found no alien life forms here," Do-yun said. "But you are welcome to search our outpost to satisfy your concerns." Vrex's feelers moved faster. "We will begin immediately." As the Kriveth moved past him, Jiho felt cold fear. Not his own fear, but Nabi's. Through their mental link, he could feel the pups' terror. The other pups were sending out waves of panic too. "Stay calm," Jiho thought hard, hoping Nabi could hear him. "Stay hidden." But as the Kriveth began their search, Jiho felt something else from Nabi. Not fear anymore, but determination. And he knew the small pup was planning something dangerous. The Kriveth moved through the outpost like a dark cloud. They looked in every room, scanned every corner. Vrex led them, its feelers twitching at every sound. Jiho followed behind with Do-yun and Minseo. He tried to look calm, but inside he was worried. He could still feel the pups' fear through their mental link. They were hiding well so far, but how long would that last? "What are these Lumere worth to you?" Do-yun asked Vrex, trying to keep the alien talking and away from the thermal system. Vrex turned. Its hard shell clicked as it moved. "They are beyond price. Their neural tissues produce compounds that extend Kriveth lives by decades. One adult Lumere can save 100 Kriveth lives. But they are living beings," Jiho said before he could stop himself. "Intelligent beings, not just medicine." Vrex's feelers pointed at Jiho. "They are animals, nothing more. Useful animals, but still just animals." The search continued. The Kriveth were getting closer to the section where the thermal regulation system controls were. If they scanned there, they might detect the pups despite the heat masking their life signs. Jiho felt a sudden spike of emotion from Nabi. The smallest pup was moving through the system, away from the others. Jiho tried to send a mental message, "Stay hidden," but Nabi was not listening. "Our scans show unusual energy readings in this area," Vrex said, pointing to a wall panel near the main lab. It was one of the access points to the thermal system. "That's just the heat regulators," Minseo said quickly. "This planet is very cold. We need strong heaters." Vrex did not seem convinced. It moved toward the panel, its feelers touching the metal surface. Jiho felt panic rising in his chest. They were going to find the pups. They were going to take them away. Cut them open, use them for medicine. He had to do something, but what? Suddenly, there was a loud clang from the other side of the room. An access panel had fallen to the floor. Standing in the open duct was Nabi, its purple-blue fur glowing brightly. "No," Jiho shouted. Vrex turned instantly. Its feelers went rigid when it saw the small Lumere pup. "A specimen," it said, its voice rising with excitement. "Capture it." 2 Kriveth soldiers moved toward Nabi. The small pup stood its ground. It looked directly at Vrex. Then Nabi did something Jiho had not seen before. It opened its mouth and made a sound that was both heard and felt. The sound hit Vrex like a physical force. The Kriveth commander staggered back. Its feelers went limp. The other Kriveth seemed confused, unable to move properly. "What is happening?" Do-yun asked, his hands over his ears even though the sound wasn't painful to humans. "It's attacking their minds," Haeun said, who had just entered the room. Telepathic defense. Vrex was recovering quickly. Take the specimen, it ordered its soldiers. Kill the humans if needed. Jiho knew they only had seconds. Nabi had given them a chance, but it wouldn't last. The pup had sacrificed itself to save the others. Jiho couldn't let that happen. He looked at Minseo, who seemed to understand. The security officer nodded and slowly reached for the alarm panel on the wall. Commander, Jiho said to Doyun, we need to evacuate now. Doyun hesitated only for a moment. Then he nodded. Do it. Minseo hit the alarm. Red lights flashed. A loud siren blared through the outpost. The station's automatic voice announced, emergency evacuation. All personnel to escape pods immediately. In the confusion, Jiho ran toward Nabi. The pup jumped into his arms. Through their mental link, Jiho felt the pup's message clearly. Get my family. Run. Chaos filled the outpost. The alarm blared. Red lights flashed. People ran in every direction. Jiho held Nabi tight against his chest as he ran toward the maintenance section. Heian and Minseo followed close behind. They had to get the other pups before the Krivith recovered. This way, Minseo shouted over the alarm. He led them to a large thermal control room where several access panels lined the wall. Am quickly opened the panels. The 6 other Lumere pups leaped out one by one, their fur glowing with fear and excitement. We need to get to the shuttle bay, Jiho said. The research outpost had 2 small shuttles for planetary exploration. They were their only chance to escape. Doyun met them at the hallway intersection. The Krivith are coming. They've called for backup from their ship. How many? Minseo asked, checking his weapon. Too many, Doyun said grimly. I'll hold them off. You get to the shuttle. Sir, you can't. Jiho began. That's an order, Doctor. Doyun cut him off. Someone has to stay and make sure they don't follow you right away. There was no time to argue. Jiho nodded, feeling a knot in his throat. Thank you, Commander. Doyun gave a small smile. Save them, Park. They deserve a chance to live. They ran through the back corridors of the outpost. The pups kept up easily, their 6 legs moving in perfect rhythm. Nabi stayed in Jiho's arms, sending calming thoughts to the other pups. Almost there, Minseo said as they rounded the last corner to the shuttle bay. But 2 Krivith soldiers blocked the entrance. Their hard shells gleamed under the emergency lights. Minseo pushed Jiho and Heian back. Stay here. He stepped forward, weapon raised. The fight was quick and brutal. Minseo was skilled, but the Krivith were stronger. One fell to his shots, but the other knocked him against the wall. Before the Krivith could finish Minseo, all 7 Lumere pups charged forward. They moved as one pack, surrounding the tall alien. They didn't attack with teeth or claws. Instead, they unleashed their telepathic cry together. The Krivith dropped to the floor, its feelers twitching wildly. It worked, Heian said in amazement. They helped Minseo up and hurried into the shuttle bay. The small research craft waited, ready for launch. Can you fly this? Joe asked Minseo as they climbed aboard. Better than anyone else here, Minseo said, sitting in the pilot's seat despite his injuries. The pups settled in the back of the shuttle, huddled together for comfort. Nabi jumped from Jiho's arms to join them. Launching now, Minseo said. The shuttle's engines roared to life. They shot out from the outpost into the cold sky of Kepler 442 bits, but freedom was short-lived. The main Krivith ship loomed above them, huge and threatening. They're charging weapons, Minseo said, his voice tight. Hang on. The shuttle shook as Minseo pushed it to its limits, trying to avoid the Krivith weapons. But the small craft was no match for the warship. They couldn't outrun it, and they couldn't fight back. We're not going to make it, Heian whispered. In the back of the shuttle, the 7 Lumere pups moved again. They formed a circle, each touching the others with their paws. Their fur began to glow brighter than ever before. Jiho felt a strange pressure in his mind, like a building storm. "They're doing something," he said. The glow from the pups grew until it filled the shuttle. Blue-white light poured from their fur, so bright it hurt to look at. "What's happening?" Mincio shouted as the controls sparked under his hands. The pressure in Jiho's mind peaked. There was a sensation like the universe folding in on itself. The shuttle seemed to stretch and compress at the same time. Then came a flash of light so intense that Jiho had to close his eyes. When he opened them again, the Krivith ship was gone. The frozen planet was gone. Outside the shuttle windows was a completely different star field. "Where are we?" Heian asked, her voice shaking. Mincio checked the navigation system. "I don't know. These stars don't match any charts we have." In the back, the pups had collapsed in exhaustion, their fur barely glowing. But Nabi looked up at Jiho with tired eyes and sent him a simple thought. Safe now. The small shuttle drifted through unfamiliar space. Its engines hummed softly, but they were running low on fuel. 3 days had passed since their escape from the Krivith. Jiho checked on the Lumere pups again. They had slept most of the time since their amazing space jump. Whatever they did to move the shuttle so far had used almost all their energy. "How are they?" Heian asked. She looked tired. "They all did. Getting stronger," Jiho said. "Especially Nabi." The smallest pup lifted its head at the sound of its name. Its purple-blue fur was starting to glow again. The mental link between them had grown even stronger after the jump. "Any luck with the distress signal?" Joe asked Mincio, who was still at the controls. "Still sending," Mincio said. "But who knows if anyone can hear us out here." Their situation was bad. Food and water were limited. The shuttle wasn't made for long journeys. They needed help soon. Suddenly, an alert sounded from the control panel. Mincio sat up straight. "A ship," he said. "A big one. And it's heading right for us." Tension filled the shuttle. Was it the Krivith? Had they somehow followed them? "It's not a Krivith design," Mincio said, looking at the scanner. "It's human." Relief washed over them. A human ship meant safety. But what was a human ship doing so far from known space? The radio crackled to life. "Unidentified shuttle. This is Captain Yunji Kim of the UES Horizon. We've received your distress signal. Please identify yourselves." Mincio grabbed the radio. "This is Security Officer Mincio from Research Outpost 17 on Kepler 442 bits. We have Dr. Park and Dr. Lee with us, along with special cargo." There was a pause. Then Captain Kim spoke again. "Outpost 17. You're over 50 light-years from Kepler 442 bits. How did you get here?" Mincio looked at the pups. "It's a long story, Captain. One we'd be happy to tell once we're aboard." 2 hours later, their shuttle docked with the UES Horizon. It was an exploration vessel, much larger than their small craft. Captain Kim met them at the airlock with several officers. She was a tall woman with short black hair and a stern face. Her eyes widened when she saw the 7 Lumere pups walking behind Jiho. "What are they?" she asked. "They're called Lumere," Jiho explained. "They're intelligent beings, and they're in danger. They saved our lives." Captain Kim looked skeptical. "You expect me to believe these animals are intelligent?" As if understanding her words, Nabi stepped forward. It looked up at the captain and made its musical sound. Then, to everyone's surprise, it spoke, not with its mouth, but directly into their minds. "Hello," the mental voice said simply. Captain Kim stepped back in shock. It spoke. "They're telepathic," Heian explained, "and they learn very quickly. They've been picking up our languages just by being around us." Over the next few days, the crew of the Horizon was amazed by the Lumere pups. Nabi showed the greatest ability to communicate. It could already form simple sentences in both Korean and English. The ship's doctor, Dr. Taejin, worked with Jiho to study the pups' biology. Their brains are remarkable, Tajin said. No wonder the Krivith want them. The chemicals they produce could revolutionize medicine, if harvested ethically. Captain Kim sent messages to Earth about their discovery. The response came quickly. The Galactic Council, which handled relations between spacefaring species, wanted to meet the Lumerae. What will happen to them? Joe asked Kim. That depends, she said. But your report about the Krivith hunting them has caused concern. Humans don't approve of harvesting sentient beings for medicine. That night, Jiho sat alone in his quarters on the horizon. Nabi jumped onto his bed, its fur glowing softly in the dark. Are we safe now? Navi asked in his mind. Its mental voice was getting clearer every day. I think so, Jiho said. My people will help protect you. Nabi tilted its head. Why? We are not human. Jiho smiled. Because it's the right thing to do. And because you're my friends now. Nabi's fur glowed brighter. Friends, it repeated. I like that word. 5 years passed quickly. On the planet now called New Aurora, spring was coming. The snow was melting from the blue trees that reminded the Lumerae of their lost home world. Dr. Jiho Park stood on the hill overlooking the colony. It had grown from a small outpost to a thriving community where humans and Lumerae lived together. The building below him was the interspecies medical center he had founded with Nabi. Beautiful view, said a voice in his mind. Jiho turned to see Nabi walking up the hill. The smallest Lumerae was no longer a pup. It had grown into a magnificent adult, its purple-blue fur shining in the morning light. All 6 eyes looked at Jiho with intelligence and humor. I was just thinking about how much has changed, Jiho said. All because you broke the rules to save some frozen pups. Nabi replied, a laugh in its mental voice. The 7 Lumerae he had saved had become important bridges between the species. The others worked in different areas of the colony, helping humans understand their telepathic abilities. Nabi had stayed with Jiho. Together, they had made amazing discoveries. Lumerae abilities could heal human brain problems. Human genetic science had helped bring back more Lumerae from stored genetic material found in old databases. Dr. Kim wants to see us, Nabi said. The children are ready for today's lesson. They walked down to the medical center. Inside, Dr. Haeun Kim was waiting with a group of human children. They cheered when they saw Nabi. Today we learn more about simple mind links, Nabi told the children. Who remembers what we practiced last time? A small girl raised her hand. We learned to send happy feelings. Nabi's fur glowed with approval. Very good, Minji. Today we will try sending clear pictures. This was one of the most amazing discoveries. Human children could learn basic telepathic skills with Lumerae help. Adults found it harder, but children's minds were more open to new ways of thinking. Jiho watched the lesson with pride. This was why he had become a doctor, to help people. Now he was helping 2 species grow together. His communicator beeped. It was Mincio, now head of colony security. The Krivith ship has entered orbit, Mincio said. They're requesting to land. Jiho's heart beat faster. The Krivith had not given up their claim to the Lumerae. Every few years, they sent a ship to demand the return of what they still called their property. I'll meet you at the landing pad, Jiho said. When the Krivith shuttle landed, Jiho stood with the colony leaders. The 7 original Lumerae stood beside them, no longer afraid but proud and strong. The Krivith diplomat who stepped out was not Vrex, but another tall, insect-like being. It looked at the waiting group with its feelers twitching. I bring demands from the Krivith Dominion. It began. The Lumerae specimens must be returned to us. They are critical to our medical research. Governor Yoonji Kim, once captain of the Horizon, stepped forward. The Lumerae are recognized as a sovereign species by the Galactic Council. They are not property to be returned. The Krivith do not recognize this ruling, the diplomat said. Nabi moved forward. In the 5 years since their rescue, it had become the strongest telepath among the Lumerae. It looked at the Krivith with all 6 eyes. We are not specimens, Nabi said, speaking aloud for the diplomat to hear. All Lumere could now speak human languages, though they still preferred telepathy. We are people. We have built a home here. The Kriveth's feelers moved angrily. The Dominion has ways to take what it wants. Mincio smiled coldly. As do we. He pointed to the sky where human ships could be seen in orbit. The Galactic Council had promised protection for the new colony. The Kriveth diplomat looked at the ships, then at the united front of humans and Lumere. It knew the Dominion could not risk a full conflict over this. This matter is not finished, it said, but its feelers drooped in defeat. After the Kriveth left, Jiho and Nabi walked back to the medical center. We won again, Jiho said. Because we stand together, Nabi replied. That is what the Kriveth will never understand. Jiho thought about his journey. From a lonely doctor on a frozen planet to someone who had helped save an entire species, all because he chose compassion over rules when he found some wolf-like pups in the ice. What are you thinking? Nabi asked. Jiho smiled. That sometimes the best medicine is simply caring about others, no matter how different they seem. Nabi's fur glowed with agreement. That is the most human thing about you, and the best.